Everybody stand for a pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to our meeting, and happy Valentine's Day, February the 14th for the town of Edmonston. And at this time, I'd just like for us all to take a moment for a brief moment of silence, just to give proper thanks for today. Thank you. And as we look over the agenda, the only thing that I wanted to add to the agenda, and we can add that to item E, is in reference to the telephone, which we've already voted on. Just want to add that to item number E.
I think Mayor would be item F.
Oh, I'm sorry, then I don't have.
E is the Neighborhood Design Center Award.
So the agenda I'm looking at only has D as the last one. So what you can do is, D is the bid for geotechnical services, correct?
D is yes.
D.
Yes.
And so my agenda does not have E on it.
Okay, that's...
So you can just, when we get to E, you can just talk about E, and then we can add the recommendation for the telephone increase to F.
Okay.
Okay?
I think she might be looking at the work session.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am. I was trying to pull it up real fast.
We need a new agenda.
Yeah, there was nothing. I took my one right here. So there's nothing over there.
Did you get one, Steve?
Well, I took it from right here.
Okay.
What number?
All right,
Term.
this is why we have the computers, right?
And I think that maybe that last item wasn't on the computer one.
Well, it's two sheets. One was work session and one was regular agenda.
That's there.
Oh, okay. All right.
Cause I got that.
Okay, Mayor, everybody has their agenda.
All right, good. So if there are no other changes or updates, if all are in agreement of the agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Fantastic. The next item, I'm not sure if there are anyone out there in the public, if there are any comments,
Ms. Williams, did you? Okay.
any public comments?
Yes, there is one.
Just really quickly, I'm just stopping by to say hello. My name's Nicole Williams. I'm running for the House of Delegates in District 22 to represent this area in Annapolis, and so I just wanted to come by this evening and just observe and just to say hello.
Hello. We're glad to have you in Edmonston.
Hi. Who was that?
Nicole Williams, a candidate for District 22.
Oh, hi.
Hi, Mayor. How are you?
How are you, Nicole? I'm good, thank you. Thanks for stopping by.
No problem.
You're not spreading out your business card?
I mean, I can hand them out. That's what I mean, business accounts.
He's running for 22.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is there anything you'd like to say?
She just wanted to introduce herself, Mayor.
You're running for delegate?
Okay.
Yes.
Delegate in our district, number 22, where we have Delegate Gaines, Ann Daly, and Alonzo Washington. So she'll be running as well.
And then
All right.
I think that was it.
Mhm.
That's it for public comment.
All right, thank you so much for stopping by. And our next item would be a special presentation, and it's from Sewing Empowerment and Economic Development, SEED, for low to moderate families, and that's Dr. McDougall. Is Dr. McDougall here?
Director.
Director.
Lisa McDowell.
Director, yep, and I see that, it is, director. Am I speaking
But if she
something
wants to be
into
a doctor.
existence?
You know what, Mayor? I'm sitting here grinning from ear to ear, saying to myself, Lord, is that my calling? Am I supposed
Is
to be
that
what
Miss-
kind of doctor?
Miss
A
Lisa
medical doctor?
McDougall?
It is, right.
Hello,
Hello.
hello,
Thank you so much for having
welcome.
me this evening. While I'm talking, I'm going to be trying to figure out if I should be a medical doctor or a PhD. Which one? So what I've passed out to you are packets that have information. And Mayor, I apologize that you don't have this in front of you, but I have left one. I will leave one with Mr. Barnes for you. Sewing Empowerment and Economic Development, also known as SEED, is a community nonprofit that's located here in District 22. We're right on Riverdale Road in Riverdale. We were founded out of the Whole Man Ministry of Refreshing Spring Church of God in Christ, which is right there on the hill. Our offices are located in the professional building that's directly across the street from the church. We're next to the wooded area and St. Bernard's School, and then Kenilworth Avenue. We have been in existence since 2004 and serve annually probably about close to 6,000 households in the greater Prince George's County area. And we have 3 service areas: education, housing, and community services. In our community services area, we serve families in a full range of services, and it's emergency food and clothing. We have nutrition classes. We are a partner with the DC Diaper Bank. We provide diapers to families, and through the emergency food is through the Capital Area Food Bank. We're an affiliate agency of the Capital Area Food Bank here, joining many in Prince George's County. But in addition to that, we have a family financial fitness program as part of our housing and economic development area, but all of the residents that come to us and receive emergency food also participate in our 3F, we call it 3FP for family financial fitness. And it ranges from everything to how to save on your utility bills, how to make sure you have the right bank, how to make to information on wills and estates and insurance, whether it's car insurance, but just really making sure that families have everything that they need, and especially around savings and retirement, to make sure that their homes are financially stable. And so individuals that come to us for diapers don't just receive diapers, they literally have to go through the family financial fitness classes, and making sure that they even spend time with one of our financial counselors, and get that one-on-one budgeting help. And so we really make sure, again, part of our mission is to move people from dependency to self-sufficiency. And so we just don't see it as a way of providing services, but making sure it's the old parable of providing fish, but teaching people how to fish as well. In the area of housing and economic development, we're a HUD-approved housing counseling agency, so we provide first-time homebuyer classes on a monthly basis, as well as foreclosure prevention. And our financial fitness is also, all of our counselors are HUD certified. The third area is education. We're the operators of Excel Academy Public Charter School, and I have to say, on your town council, you have one of the best registrars in the district of Prince George's County Public Schools. I don't know what she does, how she does it I know what she does, but I don't know how she does it on a regular basis. Mother Shane, and be an active member of the Council Hill. So we applaud her. Exactly. So we applaud her for that. But Excel Academy is the charter school that we operate in Prince George's County. Charters have to have a nonprofit operator, and so we take very seriously the work that we do and provide, making sure that holistic approach to education is the 400 students in that school are receiving it. In addition to that, many of the services that we provide are also provided for the families at Excel. We do a mobile pantry at Excel, again, in partnership with the food bank, and our 3FP classes are for the families that are located of the school. That includes the staff, the parents, as well as the surrounding Palmer Park community. And we're working very hard to try to bring everything that SEED encompasses under
one roof and bring that back to the Riverdale area. And so we're working very hard to do that and bring it back to this community, including the charter school. We have an after-school program, the Seed Extended Learning Program, and we have a summer program, too, that we're very excited about. One is a summer bridge. We've operated it for the past 2 to 3 summers in partnership with East Pines Citizens Association over in the East Pines area before you get right near the Baltimore-Washington Parkway off of Riverdale Road. And we also operated it last year at Excel Academy, specifically for many of the students in the school and in that community. We're also a sponsoring organization of the Children's Defense Fund's Freedom School program. It's a program that's steeped in an integrated reading curriculum as well as social action. The children do a National Day of Social Action with Freedom School sites all over the country, as well as work on through that integrated reading curriculum to make sure that they don't lose anything during the summer months. The Seed Summer Bridge program provides the same thing for kindergarten through 5th grade students in the Riverdale area. So we're very excited about making sure that all of the families that we serve, again, are able to have their, not just their basic needs met, but also to have a forecast in the future through the education of their students, their children, but also through the work that they, to move the family. So if you look at, in your folder, there's the 2017 year in review. That does give you a breakdown of the 5,000 households. And we're in Prince George's County, which is where our headquarters is, but we also have an office in Detroit, Michigan. In Detroit, we provide summer programs, summer enrichment, summer bridge, and freedom school, as well as emergency food, but they're only monthly, whereas the emergency food distribution center here is open twice a week. There we do a mobile pantry in 2 very specific neighborhoods, and we also provide first-time homebuyer training. But in Detroit, it's for residents who are Section 8 recipients as part of the Housing Choice Voucher Program. So once they finish their training and their counseling, their rental voucher is converted to a homeownership voucher. So we've served 5,800 households in Prince George's County and Detroit, delivered over 400,000 pounds of emergency food and 40,000 pounds of fresh produce, 77,000 diapers. 15,000 families were able to sign up through, we promoted health insurance options to, and probably signed up about 1,200 through the Maryland Health Exchange. So we're actually an enrollment site where we have navigators on site that actually enroll people through health insurance options. 632 families, actually. 200 families received Thanksgiving baskets, 140 children, toys for Christmas, 200 first-time homebuyers educated through pre-purchase and counseling. 63 houses received foreclosure counseling, homes that were able to be saved. 179 individuals financial literacy training, and every year we have our annual Seed 5K run walk in College Park, running around Lake Artemisia, and we had 64 runners that participated in that this past year, and we're gearing up for April the 14th and would love to have a team from the town of Edmonston to come out and participate. Another document that I wanted to bring your attention to is this month at Seed. It gives you an idea on, and we put this out through Constant Contact, electronic media, every month, so that you're able to see many of the programs. It shows you when the food distribution center and clothes closet is open, when the nutrition classes are held, as well as other activities that take place for the community here, as well as at Excel Academy in Detroit. And we would love to work with the town of Edmonston to figure out ways that we can make sure that your residents are aware of this and are able to take advantage of this, although the area codes surrounding the 20737 are where most of we call that our pull area. And so we probably serve a very large portion of residents from the city of Edmonston already, but we want to make sure that we're reaching out to many more. In addition to that, we'd love to talk about ways that we may be able to work together, potentially partner together on activities during the summer for the children of Edmonston. We would love to bring our Seed Summer Bridge program specifically to the children of Edmonston. Any questions?
Who runs the nutrition classes, and where do they come from?
The nutrition classes are run by the University of Maryland Extended Partnership through the Office of Community Engagement. I don't know if you all know Gloria Blackwell. They have a full project, and they receive federal grant funding through the USDA education programs for nutrition. They've done classes at Excel Academy during the day and after school, and they come down to the right in our building in the food distribution center and conduct classes weekly.
How qualified are they? The person
They are
that's running the
the
class?
person that's running the class is a trained health and nutrition professional
Oh, yeah?
from the University of Maryland. It's not just me and my recipes.
No,
and
I
my
was
smoothie
curious because I
recipes.
enrolled in that class.
You enrolled in the nutrition
Yeah,
class?
last week was my first week.
Okay, so you were in the class with
I'm in that
Ellen?
nutrition class.
With Ellen, I think is
Yeah,
her
I think
name.
if
Little
that's the
short
name.
lady, black hair?
Yeah,
Okay, excellent.
yeah.
Lisa, could you offer some of these classes at our rec center?
We could. Especially the family financial fitness series.
I think that's one that Councilmember Bennett White's been interested in getting going for homeowners and
No,
residents.
actually, Sarah was
Okay.
interested in that. I
Okay.
just put the personality, but she was who initially talked about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
So-
think that had to do with the amount of foreclosures or
Right, we're having a
foreclosures in our-
conversation
in our,
about foreclosures in Edmonston. And
We would love to
Town.
have it's foreclosures. The powers that be, especially at the federal and state level, have determined that the crisis is over. The number of calls that we get have gone from getting sometimes 20 to 30 calls a day to maybe getting 10 to 15 calls a month. But when we get our reports from the state of Maryland and from the Department of Licensing and Labor Regulation that show the number of residents that are 45 days behind in their mortgage, those numbers aren't going down. When we start to look at the fact that this area and the zip codes around is what's considered a hot spot, those numbers aren't going down. They pull back the resources, but we haven't stopped. So if you want a workshop on a regular basis here, specifically about foreclosure, we would love to do that. We used to hold them once a week in our offices, and now we get people and we handle them with a counselor on a case-by-case basis. But if we can pull the residents together and really talk through this, there's still a little bit of a stigma around
Yeah.
foreclosure, but at the end of the day, we just want to be able to sit down with you to help you explain what options might be available. Not everyone should stay in their home, but certainly no one should lose their home without having all of the information in front of them so that they can make an educated decision. We've had people who've come through our office after working with a counselor for months and come to the realization that, you know what, I'm 65, 68, 72, and I'm probably ready to downsize. And so this is one of the best things that's happened to me to get from underneath that home. Now I can move into an active senior place and play bid whiz on a regular basis. And then you have people who don't want to leave their home, that don't want to lose their equity and want to stay and don't realize that they probably have enough equity in their home to bring their mortgage payment down. But at the end of the day, the worst thing that you could do is not talk to your lender.
Right.
And so we can walk people through that process, and we would be happy to do so.
Well, thank you so much for coming. And I mean, thank you, Talita, for bringing us what appears to be an unbelievable resource that's just around the corner from our town.
And Rodney and I have been talking.
And so,
I was a part of that program. I came in for, because my house at one point was up for foreclosure. And so I came in and the counselor was magnificent. I mean, I thought I was doing a good job at talking to the mortgage company, and she did a phenomenal job.
yeah.
So I was able to save my home.
And sometimes it's good to have like a third party come in who's just
Absolutely.
not,
Yeah,
you know, you're just probably overwrought with like the crisis and you need
Right.
somebody to come in and just sort of like help you.
That's exactly
Walk through
right.
it.
That's exactly
So-
right. My husband passed away in 2013, and my house was facing foreclosure. You know, we had gone through the modification. Of course, my household income he made way more money than me, so it was gone. And I'm sitting there looking at this stuff and like, what am I supposed to do now? And I thought I knew everything. I had gone to the same trainings that they did. I just didn't take the test to become certified. But as the executive director, I wanted to make sure I knew what they were presenting. And the counseling team Juanita and Nicole and Willie had to sit me down and said, dude, can you give us all that stuff? Because we tired of you yelling at those people on the phone because I'm
That's what
overly
I was
emotional.
doing.
and I think I know everything. And they had to say, okay, so this is where this ends, and you're now going to turn this over. And they hooked me up. 5 years later, I'm still in my home, and I can afford it. And it's been a blessing, but I would not have been able to do it if somebody with a clear head didn't step back and say, okay, this is what we're working with. So we'd be happy to do that.
Okay. And the summer bridge program, is that all like the pre-K or the kindergarten through 5th grade? Is that an all-day program? Or?
It is a half-day program.
Okay.
But and we provide food through through the summer feeding program, through the Capital Area Food Bank, which gets it through USDA. The summer feeding program is localized now, and so the children come in for breakfast. We do enrichment activities with them, following a summer bridge curriculum. We have advisors at Excel that help pull some of the pieces together, and then we use volunteer teachers in the community that don't want to really work or have all their day taken up with a job, and so they come in the morning and work with the students, and then we do some fun activities. We feed them lunch, and usually a parent or a grandparent will walk and come up and pick the children up and take them back home, and we feed them too. We feed anybody that comes. So it is a half-day program. We would be interested in a full day, and it's only because we offer that at no charge to the parents there that it is half-day, and we literally pull, and the majority of the parents and the students in that program, because of where it was located in East Pines, are Latino-speaking families or Spanish-speaking families, and so our Spanish-speaking staff, some of who weren't even educators, got trained so that they could make sure that there was no language barrier. That where some of the teachers may not have spoken Spanish, we always made sure that we had Spanish-speaking staff that were there.
And so your programs, like the financial literacy, and those are all available in Spanish?
They're in English, Spanish, and Farsi.
And what?
Farsi, which is Arabic. It's a little bit of Urdu and Arabic and all together. We have a very high number of Middle Eastern families that have come to us probably over the last 3 or 4 months. And so we had to adapt real quick, because what was happening was when they were come to us for services, their children were translating. So you had 10, 11, 12-year-olds that were sitting in our office for an appointment at 1 o'clock during the day that should have been in school. And so one of the dads was very fluent in English, and now he comes in and translates for all of our classes.
Is the majority, are they from that apartment complex down there?
Down at East Pines, further down by the apartment building across from that, the apartment complex across from the Maryland Park and Planning.
Oh, East Pine Terrace?
And the townhouses behind where the bus stop is.
Right.
And then there's a road, one way in, one way out, so there are townhouses back there. And then, is that the entrance to the apartment complex that you see from the Parkway?
That's the entrance and the exit.
Okay, so that...
It's almost like the a little bit of
United Nations in there. Yeah, absolutely. And it's cyclical, and we work with the International Refugee Center in Montgomery County with a lot of the families that are in there. And so we do 3FP for them, special classes. As well as we haven't had a nutrition class yet in Farsi, but mostly the financial literacy classes and in preparation for the diapers.
That's fabulous.
Any other questions?
Lisa, we could circulate this through also our constant contact and our...
Oh, absolutely. I can send it to you electronically.
Yeah, if you would.
And I will make sure that you're
also
included on our monthly distribution of this as well.
And we can also put it up on our access channel.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, maybe we could schedule something where we can have residents come out. And
Yes. Yeah, I think that would be awesome.
I wish there were more residents here to take benefit.
Yeah.
We would
Maybe what we
definitely
could
do
do
that.
is try to, like, we could put our heads together around, like, the planning on
Yeah,
the
we should
specific
pass on.
issues, and then we can reach out. Well, the first thing to do is probably to talk with you about maybe how you've done this in other communities or with
Okay.
other town councils, but...
Because we want them to feel comfortable coming to the session.
Right.
We don't want you to just come and not have anyone show up because they weren't
Right.
comfortable being in that environment.
Right. And we have a partnership with Bed Bath & Beyond. And with that, we receive household items that have either been returned to the store or a pitcher that might have a chip in it or a toaster oven that might have a bend in the rack that they won't sell. And so we can maybe do a raffle and, raffle off a bread maker or air fryer or things come in on a weekly basis. And we can even couch it in, we don't have to call it foreclosure with the stigma around it. We can figure out ways that would bring people out, because we just want to make sure that there's information that's still out there, and there are still programs, and lenders are still working with people, and they're more apt to work with people now. Before, when the crisis first started, houses were being foreclosed on in 15 days. There are laws in place now that keep that from happening, and those laws will never go away. And so we just want to make sure that the information is out there for individuals and that they can make educated decisions about where they want to continue to live.
Rod, when you get it electronically, give it to me so I can get it on our Facebook page too. For a couple hundred people that look at ours.
Awesome. Some of them have my card in them. I ran out. But
I have your contact.
Okay, but yes, Ronnie has my contact information, and I told the mayor I was going to leave one spot.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
I don't think we have any cards
Thank
that
you.
excel, Lisa. You have?
I think I do.
No.
But I'm not sure that I do.
I'm surprised we don't.
But
Yeah,
yes,
I'm surprised we don't. Okay. I just call you on your cell phone, so.
or text.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Very important stuff.
Thank you. This seems very interesting. Some of it, the majority I caught, but some of it I missed, so hopefully I can get,
Watch the
if she
video.
left some
Yes.
information, I can get that. Seems very interesting. So the next item would be new business, and it would be approving our minutes for January the 11th for our work session and our regular session, and then our closed session for January the 11th. Is there a motion to approve? Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I make a motion that we approve the minutes for the work session, regular session, and the town council closed session.
Thank you, Ms. White. Is there a second?
Yeah, I second.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. If all approved, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right. Motion passed. The next item is item D, and it's the consideration of award bid for geotechnical services for Chesapeake Bay Trust Grant for 46th Avenue Street Rain Gardens, and also the gutter replacement to the low bidder, which is ECS Mid-Atlantic, in the amount of $5,299. Is there a motion to approve?
For residents who don't maybe understand, Rod, can you give maybe a little bit of background on this?
Absolutely. The town received a $148,000 grant to build 8 rain gardens and to do a pilot project of a pervious curb and gutter 400 feet along 46th Avenue, where we have a particular problem. It ends about at Gallatin and goes back to about Bookstore Movers. So this is the geotechnical services. This is completely funded by the grant dollars. We've actually already received partially payment on the grant. So tonight they're awarding the low bid for those geotechnical services, and what they have to do is study the ground to make sure that the ground is going to be sufficient for whatever the purpose the engineers are designing for the pervious curb and gutter. It's a new pilot project. The Bay Trust folks and Prince George's County Stormwater folks are very excited about it. We'll be monitoring it and providing them data for the next 3 years so that they see whether this is a project that can work. It's worked in elsewhere in other parts of the country, but to make sure that it can work here. And so we're being the first again. Much like you were with your Green Street, we're being the first again with this concept.
Thank you, Mr. Barnes. Is there a motion to approve $5,299
Is
to
that?
award to ECS?
I'll make a motion that we move with the Chesapeake.
Award to bid.
Yes, award to bid for the Chesapeake Rain Gardens and to the lowest bidder.
Second.
Is there a second?
I second. I second, Mayor.
Somerville?
Yes.
Thank you. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right. Motion passes for ECS. And the next item is item E. Mr. Barnes?
It's the consideration of award of a contract with Neighborhood Design Center for the final components of the Crittenden Green Street project in the amount of $5,200. And again, this is paid for with the Chesapeake Bay Trust. This is our Green Street Green Jobs project that turned Crittenden into our second, helping to turn Crittenden into our second Green Street. This will be adding 4 more rain gardens at different locations, particularly at the dead ends of 52nd, 51st Place, and at the end by the park, and at the beginning next to Kenilworth. And so we already have these funds also in hand, so that's a good thing. And this is Neighborhood Design Center is the nonprofit that is designed to do this work for communities throughout the state, and they helped us on many projects.
Thank you. Are there any questions?
So of this 148,000, how much have we actually received on this? Has it been?
This
most
is a
of it's
different
been
grant
spent?
from the 148.
This is a different one. Okay.
The 148 was $40,000 upfront payment that
Okay.
takes care of the engineering and the design part. This grant was 72,000 approximately, and we
Okay, so
received
that's a
all
different
the
one.
approximately 10% of it.
Okay.
And our share is 5,200.
Yes. Not no, that's not the towns. That's the grants. The grant's paying for this.
But so you said 72,000 is the grant.
Was the grand
Yes.
amount?
Okay, so the
Total.
5,200 is what?
Is part of that. 72,000. The grant contained money for the rain gardens. It contained money for the plants. It contained for engineering and design. All of that was part of that 72,000.
Okay, right. So this 52
Is part of that.
so what's the difference? Why are we approving the 52 and not the 72?
The 72,000, you accepted that
No, we
grant
already
about a year and a half ago.
Right, okay.
This is doing the project itself and actually implementing the grant. And so this is one of the phases of that
So
implementation.
this is part of the payment of the 72,000?
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
that's why I want clarification now.
All right.
Okay,
If
with
there
that,
are no further questions, is there a motion
with that
to
clarification,
accept?
Wait, do you have another
I'm sorry.
question?
no, so with that clarification, I would like to make a motion to approve the award of contract with Neighborhood Design Center.
Thank you, Ms. B. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. White. There are no further questions. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, that motion passes. All right, so item F would be last week, Mr. Johnson, Councilmember Johnson recommended to increase the phone stipend for mayor and council, and it was approved. A motion was made by Councilwoman B and second by Councilwoman White. All were in favor for the increase, and so that's just for the record.
Actually, if my memory serves me, it was
Yes.
White and Johnson. White
Moved and
moved and Johnson
I think
approved.
that's it.
seconded.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Councilmember Bennett White moved and Councilmember Johnson seconded the motion.
Oh, okay. I couldn't remember the exact order. Councilmember Johnson made the recommendation. Councilmember White made the motion, and Councilmember Johnson second, and all approved.
Correct.
Correct.
All right.
Well,
Thank you.
with one correction to that, I was not present at the
Right.
work session. And I was under the impression that there was going to be discussion at the work session that we would vote on it at the council meeting.
We did.
No, you voted on it at the work session, right? That's what the mayor just said. That's what you all just said, right? So I wonder if it might be a good practice whenever, because what's the increase? What's the increase in
The increase is $50.
So it's increasing from $50 to $100
Per month.
per person per month.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
And 150 for the mayor.
But hers was 100 before, and now it's 150.
Yes.
And ours was 50 before, and now it's 100.
for everyone.
Everybody, yes.
Okay. So that comes out to like $600 per person times 5, which is $3,000. So when is this? Are there funds appropriated for this
Yes,
fiscal
there's-
year?
There is funds in the communications budget that can be used for this.
Okay. I just wonder if it might be a good practice going forward, whenever we're going to have an expenditure of funds, we can talk about it at the work session, but to actually vote on it at the town council meeting.
We did talk about it. You just wasn't here.
Right, and I don't object to, in fact, but I sent in some comments about it because I knew that it was on the agenda for the work session and I couldn't be there because it was like
I don't remember.
a sick bay at my household.
They were read.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I apologize, 'cause I don't remember what your comments were. Can you go ahead and say what they?
Well, I
what
just
they
that
were?
I thought that we ought to do some due diligence maybe and see what other municipalities are doing and what
Oh, okay.
would
I
be
don't remember, I'm sorry.
before.
Well, of all the poor towns, our stipend is on the lower end of the pay, of the stipend scale. So we have been,
The stipend or the reimbursement?
the stipend, which, yes, the stipend. So in lieu of us doing a stipend, we did the phone allowance.
So this
So,
was, so that
we
sounds,
could be more in line with the other poor towns.
well, that sounds like a
However-
workaround from, I'm sorry, Mayor, that sounds like, I thought we had an ordinance that prohibits us from increasing our
The
stipend
yeah,
while
we
we're,
did the phone allowance, that's what we did. We didn't do the stipend.
so it's a workaround. That's what it
the way-
sounds
if
like.
that's the way you choose to see it. I don't see it as a workaround. I see it as an increase in our allowance for to kind of offset the expenses that we incur monthly to maintain our phone line.
I mean, it could very well be that $100 for a phone is totally in line with what other municipalities are doing. I'm just suggesting that it might be a good thing going forward to do that kind of due diligence, and that whenever we are going to take a vote on actually spending taxpayer money, that we ought to do it at the town council
Well,
meeting.
due diligence. This is a discussion we've been discussing since before you
Yeah.
was elected or became council member. We've been discussing this for many years. But we always focus on the stipend. And Mr. Johnson had the idea because and we also agreed that the $50 does not cover our monthly phone. And I know we are supposed to spend part of our own money, but we wanted to be fair. So we felt as though the $100 phone allowance would be the better way to go. But it's not something that we just decided willy-nilly. It's something we've discussed many years ago.
Well, I mean, I didn't have the benefit of that, right? And I am on the council, and so it would have been, but I wasn't at the work session, and so I get that, like, I wasn't a part of that discussion, but as far as the vote goes, it seems like the vote should have taken place tonight rather than at the work session, since this is the, like, formal environment where we do all the other approvals of expenditures of the town's budget. And this is a $3,000 expenditure for all intents and purposes.
Well, Mayor, could we revisit that? Can we do a revote? Is that possible?
Do we need to?
So that she feels as though I don't want. So
But the
there are
person
certain
is-
things.
I guess the person that made the motion could ask to have it reconsidered, as long as the person that seconded it was in favor. I'm sorry, they'll rescind, yes, vote to rescind. And then somebody can make a motion to vote again.
Does council want to?
You could make a motion, Salita, to rescind the previous action that occurred at the work session. He could second it, and you all could vote.
Okay, well, I'm not going to make a motion to rescind
Okay.
because I don't think it's necessary.
In a sense, I just want to give that option.
Because
All right,
we,
well, I just hope going forward that for the benefit of our residents that we do this whenever we expend town taxpayer money, particularly if it's on ourselves, that we ought to do that.
so is that something that we need to do? Because Rod said that it was.
As long as
we
it's a
could
duly
vote it.
advertised meeting, you can take any action. You can make any kind of policy that you like, like Councilmember Tuberville is suggesting. If you want to make a policy that you don't do approvals of financial at a work session, then certainly you can do that. But that's
Because
up
a
to
work
you.
session is an open meeting. Am
Absolutely.
I
Mhm.
wrong
Yeah.
in saying that?
No, I mean, I'm not
If
saying.
I could just say, pardon me, if I could just say that what we did was for due diligence and for our residents to be notified. We voted in work session in which we could, and in putting it on the agenda tonight, we're notifying our residents of the action that we took during our work session. So we were being transparent in our work session, in which I do understand what you're saying, Councilmember Tuberville. It was something involving our finances, and your desire is that we have a vote during our regular town hall meeting, our regular meeting. But the vote was taken during our work session, which can be done. And so, to be transparent, what we did tonight was we put it on the agenda to let our residents know what the vote was while we were in our work session. And that was us being transparent. Now, the vote definitely could be taken again. It won't change, but we were letting the residents know that it was recommended. It was recommended by Councilmember Johnson. The motion was made by Councilmember White, second by Councilmember Johnson, and it was moved and approved by all council members that were present. So,
I mean, I appreciate the gesture of transparency, and I would
yeah,
anticipate
and so
residents do
I think
too.
that's
But
us being transparent. But your comment is definitely.
I'm just trying to be
well
forward-looking.
taken. Makes sense.
If there's nothing that can be done about this, then I just want to be forward-looking for future discussions and votes that we have that involve an expenditure of town funds.
Right.
So
yeah.
that's
And especially since it was an expenditure, and that's why I thought it was important that it would be placed on the agenda tonight.
But was it on the agenda for the work session last week?
It was.
So you were aware of it? Weren't you aware of that we were going to be?
not that you were going to vote on it, because we haven't voted
No,
on
it wasn't that
expenditures
we
at
were
the
gonna
work
vote on
session,
it.
and that's why I submitted my comments via email to everybody about just thoughts that I had.
To everyone? Did you
About
send me-
I sent it to everyone on the Edmonston email in advance of the meeting, of the
Can
work
you refresh
session.
me of your comments, your objections to the-
Sure, I can pull them up.
I believe it was read to the mayor that night.
It was read to the mayor?
I mean, it was read during the session.
I don't recall.
It was read to everyone.
It was,
Her comments were.
yeah.
I remember she had comments
Oh,
about
it
the
was-
police department, but I don't recall
Yeah.
about the
Yeah, it was
stipend.
for the police department.
Yeah, I remember, she had comments about the
Yeah,
police
she did
department.
about
the
this too.
stipend also?
Yes. but
Yeah, I said.
She didn't
So
have enough information.
everything else was listed as discussion about monthly cell phone allowance, Councilman Johnson, and I said, without knowing the basis for this suggested increase, I cannot say whether I would support this proposal.
Oh, right. Mm-hmm.
So, and nothing has really been illuminating in here, regardless of that. But I get the vote was taken. It was an open meeting, that's a perfectly legal thing to do, but as a best practice, I'm wondering if when it involves an expenditure of town funds, if we ought to reserve those votes for the town council meeting.
Okay. Yeah.
So what do we need to do in order to do that? Is that your question? Do
I mean, if we want to
what would we
adopt a
need to do in
policy,
order
we
to
could do that.
We'd
I
have
mean,
to
if y'all
adopt a
would
policy
be
for that.
willing to support that, then that would be great. And
I'd be willing to adopt a policy in conjunction with some other changes that needs to be done with the expenditures.
I would think that, I don't know if it's a policy that needs to be adopted, other than the fact that we ensure that we make the citizens aware of the financial, whatever transaction occurred, whatever vote was taken concerning our finances are made known once we come into our regular meeting. Because it's not necessarily that the vote is going to change, but it needs to be stated what action was taken during that meeting.
But I think she's saying she's objecting to the fact that we voted
that's right.
in her absence. So she wants going forward that.
That's what she's saying.
Yes.
that
So,
we-
And it's
we
not that you
voted.
voted in my absence. If I was absent for this meeting and you voted on this, I would get that completely. But I feel like the town council meeting is the one that the residents are more likely to attend, that they're more likely to have some input, they would be present for the discussion about it, and that it would just be a better sort of public service to the residents to take votes on financial questions and an expenditure of funds at the town council meeting. We can certainly discuss it at the work session, but to actually
Right.
vote on them at the town council meeting.
Right.
So I don't have a particular, I would just propose that that be our practice moving forward.
Right.
And is that something
I
that
agree.
we need to
That's-
vote on?
I'm fine with that. I
No?
agree.
Okay.
I think they should be aware, and changes such as that should be conducted in front of.
So
the,
where exactly would we put that? Like in somewhere in the
that could
charter?
just be a policy that we adopt.
A resolution.
isn't that right?
Well, you just said you didn't
But,
want to
I mean,
adopt
I
a
don't
policy. Now
think-
let's make our
Talking in
minds up
circles.
here.
I don't think you necessarily
we
need it
spend
as
too
a
much time on
policy.
unnecessary
We're
stuff.
wrong.
It's pretty
Gives me a
well
headache.
stated tonight that that's a practice that you want, and so that's how it can be.
I don't
for
know
the
if we can
future.
state that that's a practice that we want. It has to be written somewhere.
So we have that. We've got to
So we need to adopt a policy
Right, a
for it.
policy and
Okay.
vote.
I think it needs to be something that's adopted. I don't think that it can be something that we state, because it'll come back to, well, who said it?
Right.
Where is it written?
That's where we
So
start.
how do we find out?
Well, I guess, Mayor, you could make a motion tonight and say that the practice going forward is there's no expenditure votes taken in a work session. That's an easy motion. That's recorded in the minutes, and that's for posterity.
It doesn't have to be.
Okay.
And that's fine.
Well, I'll move that all votes on expenditure of town funds take place at the town council meeting. And not the work session. Thanks, Kevin.
I second that.
I thought we're not supposed to bring new.
It's not in the agenda.
Yeah, because it's not on the agenda. Is that something that we should bring up at the next work session?
No, not necessarily so. There's a motion on the floor.
I abstain.
And how do you vote, Ms. White
Aye.
and Mr. Turberville
Aye.
and Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay. Okay.
So where is that going to be documented? So,
In the minutes.
Mm.
In a minute.
so in the minutes, and then
Just
then
in
we
the
go
minutes,
forward.
yeah.
And you'll approve the minutes, and yeah, we'll always be
Just
there.
for the record,
Okay.
just for the record, that's all. And it's not something that hasn't already been done. It's not a practice that we haven't been doing. Just this last work session really is the first time that something like that has been voted on. So usually any type of finances or anything like that have been voted on during regular meetings. So Ms. D, it's just for the record, and it's something that we'll just continue to do. So we won't pick up a practice of any type of voting on financial matters in a work session. That's all. And it's a good thing.
So that's limited to financial only?
Yes, just to stay at this time, yeah, just to stay on the up and up and in front of our citizens.
Okay.
It's for the good of, for the good of the town, for us. It's a very good idea, good suggestion. I think it's a good practice.
Mm.
Okay, and so as we move forward, so there's nothing after item F. The next thing I have is the police report. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Consistent with everyone else?
That's correct.
All right. Captain?
We had a slow month.
Quiet.
Yeah, I think the weather was a big part of it. We had 1 911 hang up, 1 animal complaint, 2 assist citizens, 2 fire assists, 6 assist other units, 14 assist outside agencies, 4 burglar alarms of all types, residential, commercial, 1 check on the welfare, 6 customer disputes, 12 disorderlies, which sometimes could be the customer disputes, just how dispatch gives them to us. Disputes between persons, we had 2, 1 domestic, 1 fight in progress, 1 property damage, 4 suspicious subjects, 3 suspicious vehicles, 2 theft from auto, 2 traffic accidents, 2 hit and runs, 3 thefts, 2 assaults that could be verbal assaults or physical assaults, just once again how dispatch gives them to us, 1 death report, and 28 others that didn't fit any of those categories. We had a total of 11 citations and 10 warnings and 11 safety repair orders and 35 parking tickets. As of February 10th at 5:20 a.m., we had an additional person to our Edmonston family. Officer Spriggs and fiancee Brianna had their little boy, Caden. He came in weighing 5 pounds, 7 ounces, and 19 inches long. Mom and son are doing fine. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Captain.
Mayor, I have the code enforcement
Yeah.
report.
Can I ask, I have one question for the captain. The last council meeting, you said there were two violent crimes that.
I was going to catch you offline, but I can more than happy to tell you. I spoke with the lieutenant in charge of investigations. Currently, they've exhausted all leads, so they're just waiting for any additional information come in.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I also have a comment. I must say that things have improved tremendously at the intersection of Decatur and Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
I see very little Metro Access buses parked. However, once in a while, around 3 o'clock, gets a little, but I must say, it's like a 90% improvement. So, whatever you guys are doing, continue. I noticed the signs, and so.
Thank you.
continue to
I
enforce.
was able to mail 2 certified letters out to what I was told was their district area offices. One did not get returned, the other one did, so, and I got both addresses from the drivers, so it's the best I could do. Evidently, the one letter must have done some good, and Officer
has.
Baxter and I have been on day work, and we've been trying to be down there as much as we can. So, we'll keep trying.
Yeah, we'll continue to do what you're doing because it's a big difference. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, code?
Yes, I passed out the code report tonight for you. Nicole's been busy. She's currently working on 3 citations. She did make contact with Mr. Mosick, the owner of the house on Hamilton, and has a meeting set up for next month with him.
Mr. Mosick?
Yes, his name's Ronald. And he's taking care of his very elderly mother right now, so he's a little out of the pocket, but he is trying to get it torn down himself. He's worked with the gas company. Anyway, he's going to meet and go through a timeline so that we can hold his feet to the fire and make sure that it actually happens, which is a good thing. We completed the inspections at Fountain Park. She's got some callbacks as the things that she found in the last 3 buildings, so she'll go back and do those rechecks. And she's been busy with fences, with signs and everything else that's going on. She's working with putting together a meeting with the businesses to talk about some of the things she looks for with the signs and the addresses, the use and occupancy licenses from the county, and so that'll happen probably next month before we send out license renewals for next year. I attached a sheet of all of our actual detailed listing of activities. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
She's doing an awesome job as well.
Has
Gets a
she-
lot done. Thank you.
Has she come to you about the property line with the Sunoco and the house that's next to it?
Yes.
Did they decide on who's?
She believes it's Sunoco's, and so she's working on that to get the official.
So the fence is not the not the borderline, like, because on both, all the way around, on the other fence, that's a disaster on the other side of that fence also.
I think we have the same question. I just want to make sure. I want to see how this worded.
Because the manager was asking me about it. I said, I don't know. I don't know if
He
the
doesn't
fence.
think it's his,
Yeah.
so she's getting the official property lines.
And because summertime, that's a drinking spot for the locals. So
Thank you. All right, council dialogue. Mr. Johnson, did you have anything else? Any other comments?
I just had a couple of questions about this check detail.
Yes, sir.
About some, like this one on here for you, for a ticket. What's that for?
A ticket?
Yeah, it says.
You processed the ticket that you got for traffic or whatever it was, and you paid it through the town.
Yeah. So what's the question?
I was just wondering what it was for. It just says ticket, mayor. That's it. You know.
She got a traffic ticket. She reimbursed the town through her paycheck for the ticket.
So the town pays for it and then got reimbursed?
Correct.
And also this repair for the car again, $975. I think that's spending an awful lot on that car. And then $150 for an oil change. I think that could be cheaper elsewhere. Seems like Danny's going, like trying to stick it to us. Because $150 for an oil change, that's a little ridiculous.
That's for one vehicle?
Yes.
Wow.
I mean, it may not be just for an oil change, though. It's
I'm
probably
just
for-
going by what it says.
Right. We don't put everything on the
Yeah,
ticket
that's
on there.
outrageous, $150 for an oil change.
I'm sure it was
Probably more than one item.
right.
Well, he's right to question it if it says won't change.
Yeah, and while we're talking, are you done with the check registry, Mr. Johnson? You're done?
No, I got to figure
Okay.
out thing. I'll do it some more.
If
I'm
you
just
want,
curious.
Stop by. Stop by and I'll go over.
No, I was just curious because, I can get an oil change cheaper than $150. You know. So. And what car was it that got the oil change?
One of your
Was
cars.
it a police car?
Okay, it's probably more than one thing then, because I wouldn't pay more $150 for an oil change either. I just don't type out every little thing on the rec form.
Well, I'm just going by what it said. If it
Yeah, we
said
can-
oil change.
You might just
Pull
want
up a
to put car
ticket.
repair.
No,
Yeah,
no.
we're happy
Like I
to-
say, I was just going by what it said.
No, I understand, but when you
Yeah.
have that, all we have to do is pull the ticket, and you can look at it and get the
And
details.
then $975 for that car again, after all that money that was just spent on it. You know,
It's gonna continue to have maintenance.
well,
And all the
yeah,
funds.
I mean, what was $975 after what was spent on it before? Is it? I mean, is it a reoccurring problem of the same thing?
I'd have to look at the ticket. I don't drive the car.
I mean, I just find it a little ridiculous, you know.
Think we should get rid of the car?
If you
Like,
keep putting money into it like that, I mean,
considering that's a lot of money. 'Cause
I
we
mean,
just
the
spent
last time was what?
$6,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, about
And now this almost another $1,000 again.
in less than 6 months.
Yeah.
You have a grant for funds to buy an electric vehicle, so maybe that's the one you replace.
And my concern is, I know we got several businesses that donated funds for the adopt a child, and I was surprised that we spent almost $1,000 from the town to pay for adopt a child when I know,
All the funds come into the town, and then we turn around and spend it from the town.
so,
We got that money in as donations, and then we had to spend it.
okay, well, could we, because when we get a check registry, I'm thinking that that's money that we're actually spending, our
It's a
money.
check that we wrote, and so.
Yeah, okay, so you're saying that, explain to me, I'm not gonna put words in your mouth.
Okay, so we get revenue in, and you don't get a report that shows the detail of that revenue. You get line item revenue report that you
These are
get
donations, so.
every month.
So the
And so that
donations-
comes in under miscellaneous. And so all those donations are listed, and then we turn around and have to spend it. And so we spend it under the expenditure side.
Okay, but could we see, so for it to make sense, could we see what's coming in and
Uh-huh,
going out?
absolutely.
Because when I see this $901, I was like, well, I donated money.
Absolutely.
And I know there were like 13 other businesses that donated money. And I
Absolutely.
know other council members donated money, including yourself and the mayor. And
Correct.
so it looks as though it's $900 plus whatever
Yeah.
was donated.
It's not.
Okay.
I'll give you a report.
Okay, please, yes, so, and also a question about paying $1,600 to Shantae to work on the grant.
Yeah, she
Um,
handled our administration, and those were paid through the grant funds. We
Yeah,
had that money, and she started that grant, and she was nearly finished. We had 2 projects left, and so she finished the paperwork for me.
$1,600, because I know in the
Yes.
years past, under previous administration, we did do the grant because Ms. White benefited from it.
Mm-hmm.
When Michelle was the town clerk, and I don't recall us paying her additional, if she was paid for her, from her regular salary.
Yeah, if
And-
Shantae had been on staff, we wouldn't have paid her. But she wasn't on staff when she did this work.
So this was done, so she was continuing to work
I had her doing the admin part of the grant,
for
which was
$1,600.
for $1,600. She works at $50 an hour. That's the grant administration fee.
Just seems as though. So this is paid from grant money.
Yes.
Okay, again, could we see that coming in and going out, because it seems as though it's coming from general, because it says here general fund.
We have
I
one,
understand what you're saying.
We
yeah,
have
but
one
yeah,
fund.
But going forward, could we see it coming in? Because it just looks as though we're double paying.
Absolutely. You see the grant when it goes out in for the grant, you see the budget for it then, and I'm happy to share it again.
Because going forward, when residents have questions as to how we're spending their hard-earned taxable dollars, we need to be able to. Because I really can't have no
Absolutely.
clarification
Absolutely.
from this. So
Absolutely.
if you show in and out, they'll give us a better clarification.
Happy to do it. I've done it before for you.
So when Shantae left, the weatherization grant, work wasn't done.
No.
I thought
I thought it was. I
I was on the
thought.
same thought like you. I thought it was done.
The grant was ongoing, and it's not totally
No,
finished.
I'm talking about her work period. I thought
The
Everything
grant
was done.
administration
I'm just
is-
asking. No,
No, I'm not getting excited, Mr. Johnson. The grant takes administration, takes reports, it takes inspections, and it takes the payments. And so that's what she's doing. All of the paperwork that goes into the state to get our reimbursements. And that takes a great deal of time.
So what's her official status? Is she still employed by?
Yes, at Mount Rainier.
No, I'm talking about here because I've heard that she's been still working on grants. Is that correct?
She is working on a grant as a grant administrator for us for this particular grant. Yes, weatherization grant.
So what's her status as of now? Is she still
Still
employed?
doing that grant until it is finished completely.
Still working on the so next month we're gonna have another payment at $50 an hour for her.
Whatever the amount of hours she's done for the month, yes.
But we don't have anybody in the town clerk position.
Correct.
So when will the weatherization grant be completed?
We just finished all the work this last week, and so the work is done, so now all it is reporting.
Raj,
So
can
she-
you, sorry, are we still talking about this?
so she will be looking for another payment.
Yes, she's done additional hours.
So you said that this comes out of the grant, I guess out of the grant money.
Correct.
Is that part of, because I guess I've never known of, grants are so specific as to, I guess, how you delegate that money out.
Yep.
Um,
Absolutely. This is admin dollars. This particular grant allows for admin dollars.
Okay.
Up to $3,000. And so I can't spend more than $3,000.
Okay. And so if we didn't spend it on that, what would we spend it on?
We would spend it on whoever was doing the grant.
Okay, so it would be somebody else maybe doing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Mhm.
'Cause it's- I mean,
I
it's
wanted
new
to
me.
return to the car question. So, Rod, you said that we've got grant funds to get an electric vehicle?
Correct.
So, would it fully, how much of a new vehicle would it cover?
The grant's for $10,000. So on an electric car, it would cover a third,
Yeah.
Okay,
approximately.
so we need to spend like $20,000 but based on,
But an
so this
I
is
mean,
like
depending on the
$1,000 and we've
electric
spent
car,
like $5,000 on repairing this thing like 6 months ago or whatever it was, right?
Right.
Less than 6 months ago. It was
Yeah.
like, I think November.
I think the volt's like 30 grand.
It's when you have the two cars evaluated, the chief's former car and this car, and determined that the lowest cost to fix one was this one.
Yeah.
The cost to fix the chief's car was even higher.
Right.
So it was sold.
Right.
In fact, closed this
I'm just
week.
wondering if maybe we want to now evaluate whether or not we
Keep
this one, assuming that we need this one.
Yeah. I think-
Exactly, assuming that we need
I
it.
think that's a
Yeah.
budget question that you're getting ready to have your first budget
Yes.
hearing in February here yet, well, actually in March, so.
So maybe we should put this on the work session for March, is to talk
Your-
about
Definitely.
this
Your
vehicle
work
situation.
session in March is your first budget
Okay,
session, so.
great. That would be great, thank you.
Oh yeah, and maybe it needs clarification. Where did we pay for the Christmas tree? Because I know that, it's usually a few hundred.
It comes out of beautification.
I know, but we're on this.
It would be a bill that came in from professional landscapers.
So have we? So is it on this?
I don't know if it's on this one, but it's one that's been through the process. I'm pretty certain it's been
Because
paid.
Christmas was in December, so I would imagine it would be.
Yeah, I'd have to go back and look, Sophia. I don't know off the top of my head if it was on
But
this
there's
month or
nothing.
not.
There's no mention of us paying for a Christmas tree.
Okay, so if it hadn't been paid yet.
I thought it was donated. I thought professional
No,
landscape.
No, that's-
No, we
that's
budget for the
expensive,
tree
so
every
maybe-
year.
No, I just thought I heard it.
Yeah, we budget for the Christmas tree. What we had hoped to do and what we still hope to do is put a permanent live one at that spot.
And we also discussed transparency with for our residents. I really was concerned as to, I know the Christmas party, it was decided that we're going to cut expenses and we only had cupcakes. However, I see an additional $354 for the Christmas party. Actually, no, that's for the Christmas party was $495.30. plus the $89 for cupcakes. So what was that $400, almost $500 expense for?
It was for the gifts that we give out to the children, and it was
The
for the
little coloring
drinks
books?
and
And the drinks?
all the other stuff that we needed. And we budget $1,000 every year for that particular
I know because
program.
I remember you were mentioning that we were going to go on the more conservative side.
So we
I was
try
curious.
really hard to save, and we did significantly.
Oh, I got one more question. When we had that little work session that Saturday, what was his name, Denzel?
Yes.
And we all put our little gripes or whatever we had on our mind on the table about somebody doing this, somebody doing that. And we came to the conclusion that nothing gets done without council being involved, like mayor and council. Okay, now on this Black History thing, now I've been on the committee for like, what, 2 years, 3 years? And I have seen nothing about it until I seen this, flyer about what we're doing for Black History Month, but nothing was said to anybody on the council about it. So how did that come about?
Mayor,
Yes,
did you hear his question?
I didn't.
Mr. Johnson wants to know how the Black History event for this year came about and why a committee that he served on in the past wasn't used.
Or council have no
Didn't
input.
we advertised for committee as far as I know?
I didn't see no advertisement about it. I haven't seen nothing on it until I seen this flyer about Black History Month.
We haven't had any committee meetings, Mayor. You
As
talked.
far as I know, we didn't have any committee meetings, but no one was excluded. No one was excluded. I mean, it always happens like that, where people say that they've been excluded. No one was excluded.
I haven't heard anything about it.
It was advertised that we were starting our Black History. I know that Mr. Barnes said it during the meeting. It was listed on the program. No one was excluded. And you come to the office almost every day. That's something that you could have asked Mr. Barnes about and not wait for the meeting tonight
What?
if you wanted to be involved.
Well, shouldn't the council be involved regardless?
No one excluded the
That's
council.
that's why I just asked what
No one excluded the council. What I'm saying is, it was mentioned, it was listed on our minutes that we were having our Black History program. No one was excluded. We didn't have a committee meeting.
Yeah, you're right.
As far as I know, I wasn't on a committee meeting. I'm not on the committee.
Well, who set this up?
You're gonna have to hold on.
You're getting the taste of what to expect.
What did you say?
Waiting on the mayor to come back.
As far as I know.
Because while we're waiting, this is really about. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
Is she back?
Sorry about that.
Is she back?
Yeah, she's
Mayor,
back,
are you
right?
back?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Okay,
I'm
go
here.
ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Are you gonna go?
No, dealing with the Black History. with Mr.
Well,
Johnson.
I think what Mr. Johnson is saying, and again, I'm not going to put words in his mouth either, but in the past, Tracy,
No, excuse me. I'm sorry. Can you speak for you, Ms. White, and Mr. Johnson? You speak for you.
I'm about to speak for myself.
And I am not part of the committee, and so you're just putting it out there. Please, just put it out there.
I believe that's what was done. It was just put out there.
I'm just saying, put it out there, because don't direct it to me. Let's just put it out there, because I am not the committee.
So
All we're doing is
who decided this?
program.
So who decided this
We're
program?
having a Black History program, period, which happens every year, and we all know it.
And we are all part of the
That's
planet.
the thing. And we're all part of it. There's no secret. None.
So who planned it this year is the question.
That's what I'm saying. This is the first I heard about it when I seen the poster.
And then you wait until a meeting to bring it up.
We just found out about it at the work session.
Yeah.
We literally,
How did you find out about it?
literally just found out about it at the work session.
Had I not asked about?
And that's because
Had I not asked about what's
Councilmember
going on?
Lee asked about it.
Yes, that's when,
Yes,
that's when
ma'am.
we were all told about.
So no one called.
In the past
No
week,
one called.
And according to this flyer, how is this Black History?
No one called, though. No one called. No
All
one
right, let's
took the
move.
time
Let's
to
keep
call,
moving.
but
Keep
instead,
no, we see, but you
we want to have a heated discussion about it during our regular meeting. Like someone did someone
this was
wrong.
presented to us tonight.
We're doing this for the community.
Yeah,
We're not doing this to fight against
mayor
each
and
other.
council, mayor and
Nobody
council.
did anything wrong to you.
I guess we have to say this for next time. I guess we need to have another one of those meetings when we put everything out on the table.
What you need to do during the
because
week, why don't you take the time to talk? That's it. Bring it up. You come to the town hall every day just about.
that doesn't have
could've
nothing to do
mentioned
with what I was
could've mentioned
asking
it.
about. Because to
Yeah,
me,
telephone number. Call,
this
ask.
thing was decided by
Don't
one
do
person.
anything malicious.
This was decided by one
Anybody's back.
person. This wasn't like a mayor and council thing. This was this one person decided on this, because the rest of the council knew nothing about it. About this presentation by Dr.
The
Dallas
rest of
for
the
Black
council
History.
could have been in on it.
When
This is
council
a
was
Black History
notified at the
program
work
that goes on
session,
every
everything was already in
single
place.
year.
Tracy,
It wasn't a
when I
surprise.
asked, when Ms. B
Well,
asked,
if it was decided every single year, I believe I was on that committee each year.
Yeah, every year.
Well, since I've been on.
And what
on
happened? And what
You tell
happened?
me.
it was a
But why didn't you have a
collaboration.
committee? You could have formed the committee, Mr. Johnson, since you've been on it every year. Why didn't you form the committee?
Why didn't you?
I'm not part of the committee.
So who planned this then?
Who did what?
Who planned the asked with Dr. Dallas the Black History celebration on
You
Saturday?
did it, right?
Who planned it?
Oh, wasn't you?
It was not me.
Dr. Dallas planned it.
it's our committee.
She's
Dr.
the one that came up with the theme.
Okay, so it was planned by Dr. Dallas. Okay.
So she.
I asked her, would she be on it? I asked her, would she do it? And she said, yeah, she would be part of the committee. She's the one that came through.
Committee means plural. If you say Dr. Dallas, then that's not a committee.
And when were there
Yes.
committee meetings? Were there
Yes.
meetings? Were there meetings, Mr. Jones?
There was no meeting.
Okay,
No
well,
meeting.
I sought after someone. I mean, you got to reach out to your community. That's what I do.
But you cannot exclude
I'm
the
there after
council.
all. I go
We all
after people.
support that, but you
I
cannot
ask
exclude
people, do they
council.
want to participate? They either say yes or they say no.
You cannot exclude council.
And that's the only thing I do.
It feels like this has devolved a bit as a discussion. Is there something that anyone wants to do? We've got like 2 weeks left of February for Black History
Yeah.
Month. Is there
Kind of late in the
anything?
program after you
Yeah.
done already decided on what
Yeah.
y'all doing.
Well, I mean, it can have. I don't. This seems like a totally unconstructive conversation. Because
Very.
if
Most
you're
of them are.
Because this is totally unconstructive. Because honestly
Yeah.
speaking, as a council member, I'm insulted that I was excluded because there's always a team, it's a collaboration. And it's been this way for how many years? We've been celebrating the Black History.
Since it started.
Yeah, for at least 6 or 7 years. And I honestly feel blindsided because had I not asked at the work session, I don't know, because when I asked, I said, what's going on with the Black History Celebration Committee?
So she
and I was
asked.
told Dr. Dallas was doing it, and the food, everything was in place at that point. And then when we come to the meeting tonight, we presented with this. That's not how it's done.
If I could interrupt,
Please.
you weren't excluded then. Mr. Barnes just mentioned what was going on. He didn't say that you could not be included. I'm sorry that you felt that way, but there were no other questions or anything said once he mentioned that. No one said anything else.
Because it was a done deal at that point.
I don't know what you felt afterwards. I'm sorry you felt excluded, but I don't know what you felt afterwards. Well, I guess we're getting that now. But no one excluded anyone. And if you felt something during the work session when it was mentioned, I think that was the time to say something.
But Tracy,
if you wanted to be a part, then
yeah, but Tracy, when I asked the question, I was not expecting to get the answer that everything was already in place. Food, the setting, the time, the date, everything. So at that point, why would I say, okay, let's start a committee? At that point, everything was done.
I don't think that he said that.
Council members, please, because I'm the only one that's speaking up right now.
Because as far as I know, everything is not done.
Well, we have a flyer. It must, something must be done.
I just reached out to her to ask her, what can I do? What do you need?
Well, Tracy, we have a flyer that specifically says what's going to happen on that day. So
Yeah,
I would assume
I think
that
she
it's
got
all
that
done.
flyer to Mr. Barnes, what, Monday, was it, Mr. Barnes?
Last week. Friday.
Friday, as a matter of fact. I reached out to her, and she said she's going to send out the flyer. She's going to send the flyer to Mr. Barnes. I reached out and asked her. I reached out and asked her again, what else can I do to help you? She needs to go shopping for some food. Okay. So I've been reaching out to see what she needs. Do you need any other help? Do you need any other hand? What do you need?
So can I just interrupt? We have residents that are here, and everyone's time is valuable. This seems to all be like an intra-council mayor problem
Personal.
that has nothing to do with the town, really, at all.
But it does.
No, this is all about us. No, this is all about us.
We talking about the Black
No, it
History
has to do with the town
That
because
involves the town.
we do this for our residents.
Anything to do with the town.
We do this for our
Is there
residents.
besides not being included, it doesn't sound like there's any substantive objection to this particular event. And so I'm having a hard time seeing, like,
Well, my objection is we were not. I felt as though I was not included in the process. As previous years passed, we've all got together with residents and council who choose to be a part of, and we'll all sit down. We would meet for maybe for about 3 or 4 weeks prior to the date that we set, and we'll all collaborate and share ideas, and then we get a program together. This year, that was not the case. And the same way how you objected to the fact that you felt as though you were not included when we voted for something, that's the same way how I feel.
that was not my objection. That was just for the record. That was not my objection with giving ourselves what is a tantamount to a raise.
But you had a valid point when
objection.
you said it should come before. If we're going to vote, we should vote in front of the residents. I feel as though going forward, we need to, when you're going to change the format, at least consult with the council and say, well, okay, this is my vision. I want the residents to be more involved this year. I've spoken with Dr. Dallas. This is her plans. How do you feel? That's the way I feel, as though a council that's respected, that's the way, and included, that's the way it should have been done. But when I asked at a work session, and I asked when we were leaving, because I looked at the schedule and I said, what's going on with the planning for the Black History celebration? That's when I was told. And Ms. White was there, Mr. Johnson was there. That's when we all got the answer that Dr. Dallas
will be planning the program, and at that point, why
Well,
should
then
be
in that event, no, I take your point, and in that event, my view of this whole thing would be that it would be most useful to cut this conversation off here and reserve it for something that is more useful for a discussion that's just between the mayor and council, because this has nothing, so far, I mean, nothing has been shown to me to be like more than a sort of working relationship problem rather than
and that's what we
a-
need to address. The same way we need to address
Right, so I'm
that
suggesting
going
that it's a poor
forward,
use of everybody's time
mayor
right here to
and
keep going
council-
on and on about
The
it.
council is consulted with things that affect the entire community, because we all do this to celebrate Black history, not for ourselves, but for the entire community. So that's my take.
And I feel like this isn't the first time that the council has not been included in a decision that does affect the residents of the town. It's not the first time. And we brought it up before. And we've discussed it. And so it's happened again, and we're bringing it up again, and we're having a discussion about it. That's how I feel about it.
And I don't feel as though it should be dismissed as though it's
No.
it's a waste of time. I find it very insulting that you find the Black History Month celebration planning to be
Really,
dismissive.
that is not what I'm saying. That is not remotely close to what I have been communicating here at this table.
Well,
I'm just saying that this continued conversation, this back and forth between various council members and the mayor is not particularly constructive, and
but
perhaps it is
something
good
needs
for
to be
us to
addressed.
end
It
it.
needs to be addressed because this continues over and over and over, and it has to be stopped. That's why we're addressing it.
I mean, is there a great outrage among residents about having this event?
Are the
with
residents
Dr.
aware of
Dallas?
this?
So
Are the residents aware of
are
this?
they aware of anything else that's been planned? I mean, I just feel like there's a great deal of coming to this table and rather than being constructive about and proactive about things that we can be doing in the future, it is instead reactive and complaining about not feeling included because something has been planned.
Well, it's supposed to be mayor and council. That's the point. Now, when it's just one person, and then later on the council, because it's done happened numerous times.
Well, what I'm
That
suggesting
something
is
gets
that it
done
might be
and
useful.
we have no knowledge of it, and then later on it's mayor and council when council has no knowledge of something. See, that's why I said something, because it happened again.
Well, we all knew Black History Month was starting on February
you know
1st.
what?
Excuse me?
I think also there's just a time and a place for everything, and what we're doing is going back and forth. And I get your understanding, Ms. B, that and Ms. White, that you're saying that this has happened before, and you want it to stop, and you feel that we need to get it out in the open. But it seems like there's a bickering going back and forth, and it's not constructive. And if there are residents that are sitting out in front of us, it's not appropriate because it becomes petty and we get nowhere.
Well, I beg to differ.
I asked the question, man. I asked the question, and I didn't take it to the left.
I'm saying that I, nor whomever else, excluded you purposely or excluded you from anything concerning the Black History Program. That I asked a resident, I asked more than one resident to be a part of the program. I asked more than one, but one stepped up to the plate. One stepped up to the plate. And then after that, it took off. So there was no committee. And what I did, I asked that person if I could assist.
So what if we wanted to assist? Because if you're saying that you had a conversation with this person, when did you include us? For us to lend our time.
What you're looking for is for the mayor to hold your hand.
No. Tracy, okay, see, okay, now we're bickering. Now we're bickering. Now we're bickering. Now we're bickering. Now we're bickering.
What happens is you can do things where I don't have to be the one to say, what are you going to do or what do you want to do? That's why Mr. Barnes put things out. If you wanted to be a part of the Black History program, if you wanted to do it, you could have.
That's why I asked last week, because I hadn't heard anything. That's why I asked.
You don't wait until last week to do it, though. I mean, that was.
Yeah, you're right. Let's save this for some other time.
Yeah, because right now we're bickering. Right now, yes. Right now we.
We do it another time.
Right now we're bickering,
yes.
and that needs to stop.
Because I want to say I appreciate you not excluding us, but I would appreciate it more if you would include us. And I'm done. I don't have nothing else to say about it.
So is that the dialogue for everyone?
It is for me.
That's mine.
Thank you, council, for your input. And if there are some residents that are out there, thank you for your attendance. Mr. Barnes, did you have anything else to report?
No, ma'am.
Thank you so very much, everyone. If there's nothing else, I will take a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Shall I make a motion during tonight's meeting?
My second.
Thank you very much. Is there a second?
B seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
All righty. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.